If you're a leader and you feel like you're trapped in a golden cage, making great money but absolutely buried under an avalanche of tiny decisions, then this is for you. We are going to talk about how to break that leadership bottleneck. And it all starts by shifting your identity from being the chief problem solver to becoming the chief decision architect of your entire organization.
So, first things first, we've got to diagnose the problem. And look, it's a trap that so many successful, high-performing people fall right into. You've become so good, so essential, that the whole operation now hinges on you. And yeah, that might feel good for the ego for a minute, but it is incredibly dangerous for the business.
And this really gets right to the heart of it. A single point of failure. Just let that phrase sink in for a second. It means if you get sick, if you go on vacation, if you're just unavailable for any reason, the whole thing grinds to a halt. This isn't a sign of your importance. It's a critical structural vulnerability in your company.
Now, this feeling of being overwhelmed, it's not just a feeling. It has a real, quantifiable cost to your business, and we call it the fragility tax. You pay this tax in lost speed, because your team is always waiting for your approval. You pay it in declining morale, because talented people feel totally micromanaged. And you pay it in overall instability, which makes your entire system fragile.
This right here is the daily reality of that fragility tax. You're stuck in that golden cage, absolutely exhausted from answering an endless stream of $50 questions, while your capable, well-paid team is just paralyzed, waiting for you to manually intervene so they can do their jobs.
So the big question is, how do you escape this trap? Well, it all starts with a fundamental identity shift. You have to evolve from being the company's chief problem solver to becoming its chief decision architect. Let's break down what that actually looks like.
Okay, so you've got two paths here. The chief problem solver is all about leader manual labor. You're the hero, you're in the trenches, personally fixing every little thing. And what's the result? A very high-paying job that you can never, ever quit. The chief decision architect, on the other hand, builds for systemic execution. You're not solving the problems, you're designing the machine that solves the problems. And that creates a durable asset that has value completely independent of you.
And that is the crucial point, right there. A business that depends 100% on your personal heroics isn't a sellable asset. It's just a job. If you want to build real, institutional-grade value, the system has to be the star, not you. So, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? The answer is you install a practical tool, the Decision Rights Matrix. This is the artifact, the thing we're going to cover that turns all that architectural theory into operational reality. So the matrix itself runs on a really simple framework we call DCE. D is for decide. This means the team owns the decision completely. C is for consult. This means the team comes up with a solution and you just approve it. And E is for escalate. This is for the big stuff, where the decision authority remains solely with you.
And here's a super practical example of what that looks like. For something like vendor spend, the ops manager has D, decide, authority up to $500, complete autonomy. For a big client discount, the team lead has to C, consult with you, but for something critical like new hires, that decision is E, escalated directly to you. See? This structure removes all the guesswork.
And this, right here, is how you directly attack and remove that leadership bottleneck constraint. The simple act of mapping out these authority boundaries empowers your team, it protects your own time for the high-value work, and it really just unlocks the company's potential to grow. All right, let's get tactical. You can start building your own matrix like right now with a really simple 3-day audit. This is how you start pulling all those tiny decisions out of your brain and getting them into a system. Here's the protocol. It's super simple. For the next 3 days, just keep a decision log. Every single time somebody asks for your approval, write it down. Then, at the end of the day, look at the list and ask yourself the filtering question for each item. If the answer is no, you immediately add that decision type to your matrix. It's a simple process, but it's incredibly powerful. This is the question that will set you free. And you have to be ruthless with yourself here. Asking this over and over and over again forces you to confront where you're holding on just for the sake of control versus where your input is actually truly necessary. Okay, so now we arrive at the captain's bridge. This is where we set the standard. And this isn't a suggestion. Think of it as a direct mandate for you as a platform architect. The expectations are high because, well, the stakes are your firm's entire future.
Let's just be perfectly clear about something. If you've hired top-tier, professional talent only to treat them like permission-seeking assistants, you are failing as a leader. A team that can't function without you isn't an asset, it's a liability on your balance sheet. With that in mind, I want you to answer 3 questions, honestly.
First up, the absence test. Imagine you vanished for 30 days. No phone, no email, you're completely off the grid. What happens? Would your team have the documented authority they need to keep your service level agreements, your SLA, intact? Or would the entire operation just collapse? This reveals the true durability of your system.
Second, the autonomy check. Now this one requires some real self-reflection. Be honest with yourself. Are you really holding on to all those minor decisions because you're the only one who can ensure quality? Or is there a part of you that's maybe just a little addicted to the feeling of your team needing you to solve all their problems? And finally, the asset validation. Does your firm actually have the systemic execution it needs to be considered a durable asset? Or is your return on talent being held back, being suppressed because your ego remains the ultimate bottleneck? So here is the mandate. Your job is not to have all the answers. Your job is to build a system that does. Distribute the power to your team. Architect the decision matrix that gives them the clarity they need. And then, and this is the hardest part, have the courage to step out of the way and let them execute.